Stop scrolling for a second, because what you're about to hear will make you believe in hidden brilliance again. That's how it begins. A world-famous polyglot, Drive. Marcus Hale, was invited to a global linguistics conference in New York. Known as the man who spoke to the world, Marcus could speak 42 languages fluently. He had taught world leaders, decoded ancient texts, and built a reputation as a walking encyclopedia of human speech. But that weekend, a single meeting inside a quiet mansion would change his life forever. Marcus had just returned from Africa, exhausted, and his mansion was being cleaned by his longtime maid, Grace. Grace was quiet, humble, and respectful, never speaking unless spoken to. She worked 3 jobs to support her teenage daughter, Lila, a shy black girl who often waited for her mother in the kitchen corner, reading old magazines or scribbling in a worn-out notebook. One afternoon, Marcus stormed into the living room, frustrated beyond words. He had received an ancient manuscript in a language no scholar could translate, rumored to be a lost African dialect, centuries old and spoken by a tribe long extinct. His upcoming presentation depended on decoding it. Every expert he knew had failed. He threw the papers on the table and muttered, "I need someone who understands this structure, these phonetics are impossible." Grace, startled, looked down. But Lila's eyes widened. She knew those markings. She hesitated, clutching her notebook, but her mother's stern look kept her silent. "Stay quiet," Grace whispered. "Don't get in trouble." Marcus noticed her. "What's your name again?" he asked. "Lila, sir." He sighed. "Lila, come here. Maybe you can read what these symbols look like to you, just curious." Lila stepped closer. Her fingers trembled as she touched the paper. "This isn't just a dialect," she whispered. "It's a blend, half tribal phonetics, half numeric code. They used tone shifts to hide meanings." Marcus froze. You understand this?" Lila nodded slightly. "I think so. My grandpa used to tell me old stories. He said our ancestors wrote songs that couldn't be sung unless your heart matched their rhythm." Grace gasped quietly, terrified that her daughter was overstepping. But Marcus was captivated. He handed her a magnifier and said, "Show me." For hours, Lila translated line after line, smoothly, confidently, as if guided by instinct. Words became sentences. Sentences became poetry. She uncovered hidden verses describing unity, humanity, and lost voices. Marcus couldn't believe what he was hearing. When she finished, he whispered, "Lila, you just decoded what scholars around the world couldn't." Her mother began to cry silently. "Sir, please don't punish her. She didn't mean to." "Punish her," Marcus interrupted. "Grace, your daughter just made history." The next morning, Marcus invited Lila to the conference. Grace protested, but Marcus insisted, she deserves to be heard. That night, Lila stood before hundreds of professors, scientists, and linguists from across the globe. Her small hands gripped the microphone as she translated the ancient language live. Her voice quivered at first but grew stronger with every word. The audience sat in stunned silence as she spoke the final verse. "Greater than, every tongue hides a soul, and every soul deserves to be heard." When she finished, there was not a sound in the hall for a full 5 seconds. Then, applause. Thunderous, heartfelt applause. Marcus stood beside her, eyes glassy with pride. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "I thought I'd come here to teach the world something new. Instead, I was taught, by a young girl whose genius we might never have seen if not for this chance." Reporters swarmed her. Universities offered scholarships. But Lila only looked at her mother, tears falling freely, and said, "Mama, we did it." Grace hugged her tightly, whispering, "You were always meant for more." Months later, a documentary aired about Lila, the maid's daughter who cracked the lost African code. She became one of the youngest linguistic researchers ever recorded, working beside Marcus, who now called her his greatest discovery. But what made the story unforgettable wasn't fame or headlines, it was the message she ended her speech with. Greater than, there's no such thing as a lowly background. Only undiscovered brilliance waiting for someone to listen. And if you're watching this right now, remember, someone out there might be waiting for you to see their light. Don't judge a story by its cover, because sometimes, the greatest genius can be standing quietly in the corner, waiting to be heard. So if this story touched your heart, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs hope today, and don't forget to subscribe. because stories like this remind us that talent, kindness, and courage can come from anywhere.